Hey Baddies, we want to take a quick minute to shout out our amazing sponsor, Eli Lilly, for supporting our mission here on Baddie to Baddie. Because of their generosity, we can keep these important conversations about breast cancer awareness, education, and advocacy going strong for our community of women of color. We send our sincere thanks to our partners at Eli Lilly for standing with us. Calling all permanent makeup artists. Discover how you can join our mission to empower breast cancer survivors of color with specialized permanent makeup services. It's more than makeup, it's a movement. Connect with us and find out how you can contribute to this empowering cause by visiting baddiebeautycollective.com. In return, you will receive free breast health education, permanent makeup trainings, and much more. The Baddie Beauty Collective is brought to you by For the Breast of Us, Artistry by Zuri, and PM Yukon. If you're a breast cancer survivor looking to boost your confidence and add a bit of swag to your new normal, this is your invitation to explore free and discounted permanent makeup services by artists trained in the specifics and nuances of skin for women of color. From eyebrows to 3D areola and scar transformation, join us and let your journey of empowerment begin. Check out the Baddie Beauty Collective, brought to you by For the Breast of Us, Artistry by Zuri, and PM Yukon by visiting baddiebeautycollective.com.
Welcome to Baddie to Baddie, a monthly podcast by For the Breast of Us, the first breast cancer community for all women of color, where we share real-life experiences, information, and education to help you live your best life after a breast cancer diagnosis. Welcome to Baddie to Baddie. Welcome to Baddie to Baddie. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Baddie to Baddie, brought to you by For the Breast of Us, a community specifically for women of color who have been impacted by breast cancer. My name is Marissa. I am the co-founder and CEO of For the Breast of Us, and I am also a breast cancer survivor as well. And I am joined today by Alyssa and Yoli, both of the Healing Works Foundation. Hello, ladies. How are you doing today?
Doing well, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
Yes. So Dr. Alyssa McMahon is on the Healing Works Foundation. She works with them. And then Yoli is also a 10-year survivor of stage 3 breast cancer. And today we're talking about the Healing Works Foundation. I'm excited to learn more about this foundation and the work that they're doing and how For the Breast of Us can partner with Healing Works Foundation to get more women of color who have been impacted by breast cancer involved. So Alyssa, why don't you tell us a little bit about Healing Works Foundation and the work that you do?
Yeah, Healing Works Foundation, it's a small but mighty team who is looking continually to make whole person care routine and regular, whether that's in primary care, which was their original mission, or more recently in cancer care. And through being able to work with them, I've been able to meet a lot of wonderful people who are also trying to do that exact same thing to make cancer care really respond to the whole person as they are before they walk in the door with the diagnosis, and get them back to as much of that as they can be. And so that's actually how Yoli and I met, through one of the first projects that we worked on for cancer, which was an integrative oncology leadership collaborative that also included a patient advocacy and empowerment sort of group that helped to inform the clinical group.
Mm-hmm. And so can you touch a little bit about integrative oncology? I heard you say that. And for our listeners and the people who are watching, can you tell us what that means and what it is?
Yeah, we're actually moving kind of from there to what we say whole person care, and so integrative oncology has been around for a number of decades, really, at this point. And there's actual trainings that medical providers can take in integrative oncology, but it tends to take a holistic approach to the patient and using both conventional care and maybe complementary, drugless approaches as well. We can think about things like acupuncture, medical massage, things that have evidence behind them, but maybe aren't drugs per se. Whereas normally with cancer care, we're thinking just about the therapeutics that come from pharmaceuticals. Integrative oncology is really looking at how do we support the person as they go through potentially the treatment that they chose that's more conventional.
Yeah, I love that. I know when I was going through my active treatment, I had a friend who owned a massage business, and she said, once you're, a couple of days out from your chemo, you should do acupuncture and massage. And I feel like that helped me a lot, along with the conventional therapies that I was doing as well. So I'm glad to see that more people are wanting to know about this option for them to work as well.
Yeah, I think the evidence base is really maturing for doing those sorts of things during or around treatment, and in fact, HealingWorks has helped to fund some of the joint guidelines between the larger kind of bodies such as American Society of Clinical Oncology or ASCO and the Society for Integrative Oncology. They now have joint guidelines that have come out, looking back to what is the evidence for, say, acupuncture for women who have to be on aromatase inhibitors for treatment of estrogen receptor positive breast cancer. And there's data that can help. So as these things become part of the guidelines, because the research is supporting it with the evidence, then hopefully insurance companies can start to actually support patients in paying for these modalities that you might have had to pay for out of pocket. I don't know, Marissa.
Yeah.
But that's the work that HealingWorks is trying to move forward to help people get exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, I love it. So Yoli, how did you get involved with the HealingWorks Foundation?
Yeah, well, I'm actually going to add 6 years to that 10-year survivorship, because I'm a 16-year survivor of triple negative cancer.
Yes.
And, so this lived experience has really opened the doors for potential partnerships with individuals who really care about the cancer warrior. Mm-hmm. So I was engaged with or introduced to the HealingWorks Foundation, to these amazing projects that they were working on, and feel really blessed that I was able to join in as an advocate and share my story and utilize my story, which also includes my mom and my sister, because they also were diagnosed, and utilize those stories to create change and to provide additional resources and support for people who really need it.
Mm-hmm. And so you have a family history of breast cancer, it sounds like.
I do. Yeah. The first time I heard the word cancer, I was around 5 or 6 years old when my mom was diagnosed in the 80s.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I know things, of course, have evolved since then, but even more so now. Can you tell us a little bit about, you being 5 or 6 and hearing that, and then even to where we're at right now? Just your perspective.
Yeah. When I heard the words, "you have cancer, Yoli," I was immediately taken back to the 6-year-old, 7-year-old Yoli, the child Yoli that got to experience or see the cancer treatments from the 80s. And I was immediately scared without realizing the incredible advancements that had already taken place up to that point, which was in 2007. And even from when I was diagnosed to now, I'm just in awe of the new treatment protocols that are available now. Mm-hmm. And I'm very encouraged when I hear Melissa speak about, and many others speak about, whole person care, because that truly made an impact in my life, my treatment recovery. I credit a lot of it, of course, to the medication that I was taking, the doctors who took good care of me, but I also got a handle on my nutrition, hydration, my sleep, my mental health, my stress management, as a way to complement the therapies that were trying to kill the cancer, but I also wanted to feel like my normal self. So I'm so encouraged to know that there is a lot more focus on integrative health modalities and whole person care.
Yeah. Let's touch on that a little bit about the whole person care. Alyssa, can you talk a little bit more about that, and how can, somebody like me, especially for the rest of us, we serve, a population of women of color who are learning more and more about these resources that we're bringing to them. How can they approach their doctors with this information?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I just I want to just touch back to what Yoli said, like your lived experience, and also the generational experience that you brought to inform some of the tools that we hope will filter down to people as they're in clinic and having an intake appointment, say, with their conventional oncology team. One of the things that Yoli and other patients helped us with was something called the personal health inventory. So you can hear the word health, even though you have a diagnosis maybe of a new cancer. We're going to use a form that's called the personal health inventory to actually learn a little bit about you before we get too deep into what's next, or at some point in your treatment. We can do it at any point. And so Yoli and other patient advocates helped us to kind of test that out. They actually took the personal health inventory, which is the foundational sort of tool that we hope makes it to cancer clinics, which is just a 2-page sort of, what do we need to know about you to give you the best care possible, is one of the questions that we use on that form. And that's actually called the patient dignity question. I want to just, for women of color or for anyone who's diagnosed at any time, we want to honor people's dignity and have them know that they can be asked questions like that and that makes a difference.
Right.
And so I think really, I love what your organization's doing to both, you're saying we look to empower, we look to support, and we look to advocate for. And I think that, that's what our work together is about, in trying to say that, I'm not saying you don't have power, but I think you can have as much as you need, and how do we so that's empowering, whether it's somebody not necessarily giving the power, but saying that is required and allowed and please, and so I think it's all in the communication and the way we approach people. So part of it is just advocating for and really supporting people who are looking to be self-advocates. That's part of the work. So thank you to Yoli and others for really trying out the tools. Those things then evolved and were tested in different care settings. There were about 13 different institutions that were part of the leadership collaborative. They were both academic centers and community-based. So we had small centers, large centers. And out of the work over a year and a half, a lot of what was created was patient-facing content, which Yoli and others may also have reviewed. We call them pocket guides. And those are on topics ranging from sexuality to spirituality and everything in between. Or maybe those are the same, don't know, right? And essentially, those have been, some of them adopted by the American Cancer Society to get even wider play because they talk about approaching those topics with a whole person focus. And so the ACS call center will be able to use the ones that they choose to distribute. And that really comes from all the work that was done in that leadership collaborative. So we're so glad to get the word out. And the final thing I would say is that out of all of the experiences of all those different centers and all the patient advocates who were involved and whatnot, we ended up writing a book, Dr. Jonas and I, and he's the president of Healing Works Foundation, of course, and we co-authored Healing in Cancer, a guide to whole person care, really targeting care teams who want to make changes toward whole person care and allowing them to have somewhat of a playbook, or at least to see that other places can do this.
Yeah, I love that. I actually love that a lot. Like I said, I'm glad that this is becoming more of a forefront conversation to be had with patients. So then that way, like you said, they know the resources that they have and they can make a informed decision on how they want their care to be, which is great. So Yoli, how do you help empower other patients that you come across and let them know about the Healing Works Foundation?
Yeah, well, in 2018, I developed a nonprofit organization called Kinship that's really designed to engage the cancer survivor thriver, so somebody with lived experience, to serve as a mentor and as a support person for somebody who's newly diagnosed. So this idea of cancer warrior helping cancer warrior. Mm-hmm. And through the power of partnerships, also bringing in key experts like those from the Healing Works Foundation and other organizations to provide practical tips, tools, and knowledge to the cancer community on a lot of topics that perhaps are not touched upon at the cancer center level, or maybe not as in depth. So education is key and is power. And we provide as many opportunities for engagement in the education and workshop world as well. And then during COVID-19, we found that a lot of cancer patients needed help just breaking down those barriers and accessing other types of critical resources, such as food, like accessing food and receiving help for rental assistance and maybe even rapid rehousing for domestic violence. I mean, cancer is just one piece of the bigger pie. And so we were able to link up our clients to much needed resources, and learned a lot along the way on the differences in what a person perceives as appropriate in asking for help, right? And there may be some cultural barriers, there may be some linguistic and language barriers that prevent people from asking for help and receiving help. So our organization really does walk alongside our cancer warriors and picks up the phone, makes those phone calls, and connects our clients to the resources. But then beyond that, it's also checking in on them and providing the emotional support that they need. So again, it's this whole idea of a cancer survivor and thriver coming back and sharing their lived experience to help another. So we've been busy. It's been a long 6 years, but also a very short, fast 6 years.
Yeah.
And we've been excited to serve in this capacity. And now the fourth program that we launched is a free wig program that we carried over or transitioned over from Susan G. Komen when they went remote, and we were gifted this beautiful 25-year-old program. And since then, we've launched a salon, a free wig program. And that program has been the entry point truly for all our other programs.
Yeah, I love that. I'll definitely need to get information on that so we can pass it along to the ladies in our community.
Thank you.
So Alyssa and Yoli, either one of you can answer this. How can we get involved? How can other organizations, how can patients, survivors, thrivers, women who are living with metastatic breast cancer, how can they get involved with the Healing Works Foundation?
Yeah, with Healing Works Foundation, we actually have a patient-facing landing page called howwehealcampaign.org. So I think that's the best place for patients and caregivers to start if they want to see something that really is made for them rather than for their care team. But for people who are already at the level of wanting to get their care team kind of on board with either seeing the resources or knowing that this even exists, they can send them to healingworksfoundation.org as a website that's more provider team facing. And I know we're looking to always provide content that's reliable, and you could come to our site and know that it's a safe place to find reliable content that was vetted through subject matter experts over 2 years through that leadership collaborative. And so we want people to feel like it's a safe place to find information.
And Yoli, what would you add to that as well?
Yeah, well, I'm a true believer in the power of storytelling, and I'm on this personal quest, but also on behalf of Cancer Kinship, to collect stories of different types of cancers, different stages of disease, but also like we want to learn what's happening in the lives of our cancer warriors, including those of the metastatic disease. Right. So connecting with our organization by our website, or even if we can share links through you, Marissa, it'd be great to ask our shared community if they'd be willing to share their story with us. So we do have a video collector tool that we're using right now, or we're getting ready to launch, so that we can collect these amazing stories and we can just learn from each other, and also use this as a way to raise awareness.
Yes, when For the Breast of Us was launched, we launched, as a blog site to where we could get stories from women of color. And like you said, just hearing the stories and reading them, it's a beautiful thing because no one experience is the same. And so I would invite you to do the same thing as well. We'll definitely share our story with you. And then if you don't mind sharing your story with us as well, because collaboration is key. And so however we can spread the message of the work that what we're all doing is a beautiful thing to me.
Absolutely. And collaboration is key. There's no way that our organization would be where we are today if it were not for the partnerships that we have. And I'm truly grateful for them.
Yeah. One other thing that sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we learned so much from each other, because I'm sitting here like, is this wig shop online available to everyone across the country? Like, I need to know, is that for my patients too?
Right.
So our free wig, so there's two programs. We have the free wig program and salon that's centered in Orange County. So our salon is in a little city called Brea in North Orange County, Southern California. And we receive referrals from the Southern California-based cancer centers to receive free wigs. But the only way that we can sustain that program is through the sale of wigs through our online store. So we do have an online store that's launching tomorrow. So it's actually just a store for anyone. So anybody that needs a wig for any reason, whether it's an everyday wig wear or Halloween's just around the corner, so if they need a wig for any reason, to purchase from us, because 100% of that sale will support the free wig program.
Nice.
Thank you.
And anyone from across the country can access that online store.
That's
so
awesome.
I'll share that link as well.
Thank you. Yes, that's what I was going to ask too. And about Healing Works Foundation, is that open to anybody around the country, or are you only serving certain populations right now?
Yeah, Healing Works Foundation, really, it's a not-for-profit. It's available in terms of all the resources that have been created are available through what's called Creative Commons, which means that if a healthcare provider works at, say, a rural place and they just want to rebrand, they have a new cancer center opening and they want to rebrand these wonderful patient-facing pocket guides to their logo, to their, organization, they can reach out to us and do that free of charge. And so really we encourage, the use of our materials. They're all available for free, no cost to anyone across the country.
Okay, I love that. We just announced we're putting on, it's called a patient advocate experience called Breast Cancer Baddie Con, which will be in March of 2025 here in Atlanta. And we're bringing together over 200 women of color who have been impacted by breast cancer, them and their caregivers. And I would love to have Healing Works Foundation involved in that somehow, just because the work that you're doing is amazing. And like I said, I want to be able to give these tools to all of the other women that we serve in our community to make sure that they know that they have this option and they can start asking about it, or even just, seeking it themselves as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Getting the word spread and getting people ready to ask for what they need and what they want is half the battle. That's great.
Yes. One other question that I did have, I know we talked a little bit about alternative therapies, but Alyssa, can you just name a couple?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you use the word alternative, because we actually very much want to define what that is, because alternative often is when a patient is saying, and I've met many people like this, there's no wrong in this, but patients may say, all the treatments that you have offered me, doctor, I hear you. They're for the birds. They're not for me, and I'm going to seek an alternative. And in that scenario, that might be somebody who goes to Mexico. They're going to get something that's maybe off the books, not available here, not part of any guideline. But complementary, which is kind of things in conjunction with or hand in hand with maybe conventional therapy, that's more what we look to, suss out what has evidence, what's safe, even if it doesn't have strong evidence, but maybe they've tried it and they know it helps them. You mentioned a couple things in the beginning. I think that was great. Just you'll see that the evidence base for some of these what might be considered complementary is very cautious when it comes to integrative oncology. So I think of things like massage therapy. There's definitely a lot of oh gosh, what if they have metastatic disease? Can you do massage therapy? There's a lot of branch points where we don't know. We don't always have the data. And and so that's where it becomes, is it alternative or complementary?
Right. Yeah, definitely with those words. Sometimes they can be kind of catchy. For sure. But I just love that the options are there.
But the modalities, if we talked about the whole, and that's why I think whole person cancer care is so beautiful, because it's not only the conventional and the complementary and or alternative, it's also the self-care part. And that circle, I think of that, if you think of three circles, like the conventional, the self-care, and then the complementary, that circle can be heavily weighted just as much as the other three. It can be three equally, shaped circles in terms of the volume that they take up in space. And so then you get into all kinds of mind-body things that don't require another provider, say, to give you guidance. You can do guided imagery, and we have a lot of those tracks that are available free on our website that, you can do things to relax yourself. That is a mind-body practice that doesn't require payment to somebody or time with another person, when you just need to feel better now. And I think the power of the mind is so strong. When people tap into it, they're usually surprised at how much they can tap into their own relaxation response and even their own intuition and kind of their knowing about how to get better over time.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of the barriers are is, like you said, if you have to pay for some of these services, that's why a lot of people maybe don't even tap into them, because they just don't have the extra funds to be able to do so. So having something that you can do that doesn't necessarily require payment, but will make you feel better is a great option to have too.
Yeah. And I think if people aren't told that there is evidence behind those practices, why would they even take the time out of their very busy life where they're trying to work, take care of kids, buy the groceries, to also do something like, say, mind body, if they don't know that there's data to show that it actually works? So we need to continue to educate people so they can tap into the things that they might not even know about that can help.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, ladies, any other lasting thoughts that you would like to say about the Healing Works Foundation or Cancer Kinship and the work that you're doing?
Just so blessed really to be here with you guys. I feel like I'm always learning, like I might have mentioned earlier. And I think that this process of going from me as a conventional oncologist trained conventionally, at the NCI and other places, that's all well and good. I think it really took me over years realizing that sometimes I was missing the forest for the trees, and I'm calling the forest the person,
Right.
So really just that's what I've learned and continue to learn. And I hope that more people get that experience, because it's a beautiful experience to have work feel like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. And I'm excited for the rest of us to partner, with both of the organizations and get the word out there of the work that you're doing and just how we can partner in the future as well.
That sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the word that I keep thinking in my head right now is just gratitude, right? It's just, I learned a lot from these conversations as well. And I already have some ideas like, oh, Asha, we could probably do this together or that together. So definitely want to continue the conversation and just open it up to anyone who may be listening that wants to explore a potential partnership or just share their story with us. I'm all ears.
Yeah, we definitely will, for sure. Well, thank you, Alyssa and Yoli, for joining me today on this episode of Baddie to Baddie. For everybody that's listening and watching, we'll make sure to put all the links and information regarding the Healing Works Foundation and Cancer Kinship so you can connect with them as well. But this is another episode of Baddie to Baddie, and we'll talk to you soon. This is another Baddie creation brought to you by For the Rest of Us. Don't forget to subscribe to Baddie wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram at For the Breast of Us, on Twitter at The Breast of Us, and check us out online at breastofus.com. Thanks for listening.